Friendship supreme. Friendship supreme. Finding the geek within.
Hey everybody, I'm Michael.
This is Cleve.
That's Stephanie behind the camera. And welcome back to another exciting episode of Friendship Supreme. Thank you, Stephanie, for giving us your audio. We're the podcast that dares to ask, what would happen if the world's shittiest superhero were to have landed in the Soviet Union instead of the United States? And luckily, someone wrote a book about that.
They did. It's called Superman Red Sun. What if Superman were to land in Russia instead of America?
Real interestingly, they could have spelled sun with a U instead of an O, and it could have had like a double entendre.
Double entendre. So, yeah. That's the whole story. Is what happens if
Absolutely, Superman lands in
shenanigans
the Soviet Union during the Cold War. Or no, not even during Cold War. It was during...
Cold War? No,
it would have been during Stalin, so World War II.
Yes.
World War II, Stalin? Yeah, that sounds right. Stalin, yes.
There's someone with a phone that could be looking this up.
It is, no,
she's like...
It's World War II.
Sorry, I was just staring off in his
She's laying
face.
back in her bikini having a great time.
No, definitely World War II. Stalin, okay. World War II. I'm feeling confident right now.
So, Stephanie, you don't know anything about this book.
Nope.
I read the book. Michael had the book, but watched the movie like a cheater.
Let's be honest, though, isn't everybody?
Yes. So, it'll be interesting to explain to Stephanie what the story is about, and then we'll even realize what our differences are within it. So, basically, imagine if World War II was big because of the
Nazis?
The nuclear side of it,
yes.
right? So basically, replace nuclear bombs with the fact that one country has fucking Superman.
Oh, he was in World War I as well, but no, Winter War and then World War II. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. So instead of nuclear war, we have superheroes, and that's really the tipping point for what's going on within the war. And one country has Superman, and that is a distinct advantage for one side than the other.
And it feels fair because I feel like comic books were doing that, where they were like kind of involving their heroes in wars, such as Captain America punching Hitler in the face.
And then Ms. America punching Hitler in the face.
Yeah. A lot of people like to punch Hitler in the face. Honestly, if I could, I would.
Fair. Yeah. It's a fair statement. I'm going to tell you right now, if there's anything this podcast has, we're against Hitler.
Damn right we are.
We do not waver from that line.
Nope. We have our values and we hold to them.
If you don't want to punch Hitler in the face, you probably should click away.
Yeah, honestly, you know what? Keep your money.
I'm good with losing your... Well, I mean, they can still sign up for the Patreon.
No, we talked about this before. If the Klan were to give us money, we'd have to reject it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're an Adolf Hitler fan.
Oh, but what if they pay the $150 and they want us to eat lunch with them?
Yikes! We'll deny it. We can refund it.
Okay, punch them in the face?
Surprise attack.
We'll have the lunch just to punch in the face. So is that gonna happen the whole time, or?
I don't even know. Nah, we're good. Solid.
So, Michael.
So I'm curious, how did yours start?
Mine started with basically the world just finding out Superman exists. So we start with Superman in adulthood.
Okay, so the cartoon starts with this child running from these other children, and this little girl is like, "Hey, I'm coming to save you," and he keeps running from the kids and hides. And the little girl, after the little kids leave, he comes out. And he's like, "Are they gone?" No, when the two guys were chasing the boy, and the girl was like, "Hey, leave him alone," they turned around and said, "Shut up, bitch." So like it was a real like, and that's the only time they said a cuss word, I think, in the entire thing. I looked at my daughter and was like, "Huh, you didn't hear that?" But anyway,
she heard it.
She did.
She would go to school and say it.
Luckily, Katie was asleep. Sucker. So.
Does Katie not watch this podcast?
Oh, she will.
When we post it, take that.
Yeah. So anyway, they're chasing him, and the two bullies go away, and he comes out, and the girl's like, and I can't say any of their names because they're authentically Russian-sounding names that I can't pronounce, Mishkla or something like that. Anyways, was like, hey, why did you run away from them? You're going to have to fight for yourself one day. And he was like, I'm not afraid of them beating me up. He's like, I'm afraid of whooping their ass, basically, and lifts his tractor up in the air. And she's like, oh my God, you have to get. He's just like, you have to share this with the entire state, meaning the USSR.
That's an interesting way to go about it.
Yeah, it was kind of good.
Mine starts with like this, the way the war commercials were back then, you know, just real factual.
Propaganda-y.
But it was basically like, hey, look at this man flying in the air. And then James Olsen, who works for the government, as a high-level agent government, I can't remember if it's FBI, CIA, whatever. He goes to Star Labs and brings in Lex Luthor, who is the smartest man in the world, intelligent doctor, on what they're going to do on the America's side to counteract this threat that Russia has.
Yep, that happened.
That you got that too?
Yeah, but I believe my guy was black.
He was. So I don't. Okay, so the point of this is if Superman lands somewhere else, what impacts everybody else's story? And somehow there's a translation lost in between the book and the movie, where we take a character who's white and make him black. I guess I appreciate you.
He becomes the president at the end of it, so.
But it's weird, right?
Yeah, I didn't know differently.
But I guess I don't mind when The Rock plays a character that was like when he did the Gridiron Gang. That character he was playing was white. I guess I don't mind there.
Not knowing a lot about Superman, as I've openly admitted multiple times, I don't know if that's a character that's normally in it.
Jimmy Olsen is Clark Kent's friend. He's the photographer that's usually hanging around with him and Lois Lane. That's him.
Oh, okay.
And Lois Lane is married to
Lex
Luthor.
That bothered me.
That
the
seems
whole
to
time.
be a constant.
I didn't like that.
I didn't mind it. She's got to be somewhere.
No, I agree with you that it made her seem like she was just hungry for power.
I mean, did they hint anywhere that there was like a relation? There could have been a relationship
between her and Superman. Yeah, like every time she gave him fuck me eyes.
Yeah. So
she gave him. Hold on. Every time she gave him like those googly eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, every time in the fucking cartoon, she's like, I don't know what that's.
See, they did it maybe twice in this.
I think they only crossed paths like 3 times, but yeah.
But it's only like that's how you think it should be going. But it never goes that way. I don't know if yours ever ends with them being happily ever after. But it's like, in a different world, in a different situation, maybe. But that is not the case here. This is a different story that you're getting. And he comes and saves someone, like, he comes and saves citizens of Metropolis.
Was it from a falling satellite? Because it looks different.
No, it's the Daily
Planet? This is what that kind of
Planet.
looks like.
Yes,
Yeah.
the Daily Planet's big.
Weird twist on the weird difference then, and actually I feel like that difference pointed the direction in a different way. It was that a Russian satellite had failed in space and started plummeting towards Metropolis, which then was supposed to be like America essentially was like, oh look, Russia's doing this on purpose just so they can send their Superman over here and prove us that they're so superior to us.
See, on my side, I want to say, it's been a bit since I read it, but I want to say that Lex Luthor did it on purpose to test Superman.
I think that that's actually the case on my end as well. That Lex Luthor is actually the reason that they fell. Because then after all that happens, he basically looks at Lois Lane and is like, "This is the next step in my plan," and is all pumped about it.
Yeah.
Does he also fondle a bunch of chess pieces during your?
I think they play chess. I
He's just got 2 pieces that are him. There's just 2 pieces that are one's him and one's Superman. They're the kings, and he just like is very fond of them to a weird degree. But anyway,
did you get a Wonder Woman in your story?
I loved the Wonder Woman in the story. I thought it was interesting and weird that no matter what, Wonder Woman and Superman kind of always become like friends. Not even necessarily like a sexual thing, but just like they somehow get drawn to each other every time.
Did you get a romance at all?
No, at one point in time he tried to kiss her and she said, no, I'm from an island full of women. You should notice that there's something different about me.
Interesting.
And he goes, oh yeah.
And here, she is diehard in love with him.
Oh.
And wants to be with him.
Oh.
And he is like, nah, I'm okay.
Interesting, yeah, because he basically,
When they change that.
he goes to make out with her and she's like, no, lesbian. And he goes, oh, thank God, because I thought you were going to want a physical relationship and I have to worry about my country.
And I think that's why he doesn't want to be with her, is because he's worried about his country. But it's weird because it's almost like her mother was like, hey, if you can be with him, you guys can build this strong nation. There's no way anybody could stop us together as a team.
Does her mother ever change her opinion? Because let me tell you, her mother seems like the entire time, no, don't go near Superman, he's evil.
No, she's like, do it.
Yeah, no, like in this one, her mom was like, yeah, no, the mascara, we don't want anything to do with Superman, get away from him, and she just keeps trying to give him more and more chances.
Nope, she wants it.
Cool. That's a weird...
It is.
Really weird. How long did Stalin live in your family? Because he went out pretty quick.
I think it was relative. I mean, it wasn't like, I think it was maybe a sickness. It wasn't old age.
So here's the weird thing. So you find, then this is how, so I don't know if we're just talking about differences or you want to talk about everything.
We're just talking about it.
Batman. He finds Batman as a kid. But in mine,
Superman finds Batman as a kid? No. Okay, continue.
Okay, so this is going to be weird. So the woman in the beginning of the cartoon ends up growing up as an adult, and he somehow, Lex Luthor sends him a file, or that's what it is. Lex Luthor gives a file to Lois Lane. Lois Lane says, here you go, and that's when he was like, oh, this is the next step of my plan. And that file happens to say that the government, Stalin, has locked people up in these gulags underneath ground, sealed by lead so he couldn't see them. So then he goes to one and breaks into it, finds the girl that he grew up with that used to protect him all the time. And he's like, what the hell's happening? Beats the crap out of people, takes her... Oh, no, it doesn't beat anybody up. I'm sorry. He walks up and they're like, they don't know what to do, so they all just kind of step aside. Grabs her, carries her out. She sees the sun one last time, dies. She's like, thank you for coming back for me. She's like, I could have died alone, but now I get to be with you. And you see then this kid that's like, talking about how, like, he hates Superman because Superman's the symbol of what put him down there. And you see bats fly by him, and then all of a sudden it's like, obviously, oh, that's Batman.
Interesting. Mine was Stalin's son who had killed Batman's parents. And so you get Batman as a child, and the guy just leaves Bruce. I assume his name is Bruce. I don't think it is, actually. Leaves him alive. And there's a moment where Superman and, God, I can't remember his name. I keep looking for it, too. Stalin's son, he's like, I don't like what I've done. I don't like what this is. And he goes to shoot himself, and Superman just like, and speeds up and catches it before he's able. He pulls the trigger, but he catches the bullet before it gets to him. But there's a resentment because Stalin treats Superman like his son and doesn't treat his son like his son. So, but I still get the bats flying.
Ah, good.
To let you know. Oh, here it is.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, no, that's not at
He
all.
throws the gun at him.
It's not at all.
I imagine that's a really deep story to have to dive into. Yeah, they're asking for a doctor. I assume it's a sickness that took Stalin. Then he goes and studies.
Wait, what happened to Stalin?
He dies of
Oh, no.
a sickness.
Superman straight melts him.
Oh, really?
Laser eye
Interesting.
just disintegrates him.
Nope, that's not what happens here. And then the country's like, who's going to lead us now? And it turns into Superman should lead the country. Interesting.
Such a weird, differences.
Way off. But without the sun aspect of it, because I don't know if you get this at all, but Superman seems like his mentality is the same regular Superman. I just want the world to be taken care of. I just want people.
Yeah, that's all he keeps talking about, and
Yeah.
Stalin has shown him that that's the way to do it, is that, and that's why he keeps pushing forward with that. I think it goes back to the idea that Mama can't and Daddy can't, or Pawpaw can't, whatever their names, I can't remember their names right now, Martha and whatever. I think it's that morality, like they teach him, like, this is what morals are, this is what's right, this is how to do it.
Well, you know, this Superman grew up at, I wouldn't say a farm, but like in poverty as well.
Yeah.
So, and it was more of like, you still have your morals, take care of people, serve your country. That was installed.
Right, and serve
as
your country was that, and that's why I was like, the little girl was like, the first thing she said when she saw his his superpowers was, no, go to the government needs you.
You and I both got a Bizarro Superman. Mine's called Superman 2.
Mine was called Superior Man, and his suit looks just like yours. Yours looks deformed. Mine looked just like a twin of Superman.
Mine has gone through he's clearly created.
Oh, yeah.
He's a monster. Would you like to talk about what happens with yours?
Yeah, like, well, how does Superman beat Superman 2?
So, there's like submarines headed towards Russia, and Superman 2 is following along them. Superman pops up. Hey, what do you think you're doing? They get into a big old fight. They start tearing stuff up, and then at a certain point, there is a missile that was launched. And although Superman 2 is not Superman, there's that instinct of, I'm here to save people. Freezes Superman, and the little freezies, takes the rocket all the way into space and goes kablowie. Which is interesting because we watched your ending.
I like that ending better for him. That he died, like, just inherently wanting to save people.
Yeah, it says, as he was flying away to take the missile, it says, I often wonder if he really knew what he was doing when he kicked back into the sky. Or if he understood perfectly and sacrificed himself, inheriting my promise to serve every form of life.
That's kind of interesting.
It says, hello, everybody. Me very pleased to meet you. As he takes it into the sky.
In the cartoon, they fight each other. Superior Man beats the crap out of Superman in Moscow, is where I could assume, like near the Kremlin somewhere. And then Superman takes it up into the air, and then they start fighting somewhere else, and he starts getting the crap beaten out of him. So then Lex Luthor's sitting here watching on a camera that he's installed in Superior Man.
As he does.
And, like, hits this button that's supposed to kind of do, like, the Bane thing where it just, like, juices him. And just keeps slamming that button.
Maybe that was another reference. It's like, oh, this is...
Like
Did they ever mention...
They didn't mention the juice. I don't remember what the juice's name is, right? Acme...
Something like that.
Yeah. But just kept slamming the button, like, go, go, go. And he just kind of starts puffing out and deforming. And he's got, like, this giant arm, and he's looking weird. And he's crawling, and he's, like, screaming, like, or yelling, like, I don't know what's going on. And then Superman's like, hey, like, are you okay? What's happening? And he's like, I don't know. And then just dies.
He overdosed.
Yeah, it was...
Your Superman 2 overdosed.
Like
not on purpose.
Like, the Superman just kind of looked at him and goes, man, that kind of sucks. Like, he just had that feeling of, like, pity, I guess.
So the other part says, perhaps he looked into my eyes and glimpsed a future that he couldn't bear to see, choosing instead to spare himself the suffering. I'm afraid we'll never know for sure. So it was like a definitely a super noble sacrifice, as opposed to yours that got pumped full of terrible drugs and died on the floor.
Yep.
It's interesting because I feel like mine is on a darker side than yours until that moment.
Right.
Yours got drastically
Well, and I
darker.
told you, so I was watching it with Jameson, and it's weird because Jameson knows Superman as a hero.
Right.
She's seen Superman many times, even though I don't care for Superman. She refers to the comic book store we go to as the Superman store. She's very pumped about it. So she likes Superman. And so the whole time she's seeing Superman, she's like cheering for him and stuff. And let me tell you, we're going to get to a scene with Batman, and I'm curious how it went down for you, because it went down in a real gruesome way for me. And I had to explain this to my daughter, and I didn't at the same time. I'm like, let's just hope that this kind of goes away.
Lex Luthor asked Lois Lane for a divorce.
Oh, did not see that.
Yep. And then he kills everyone in his lab
Why?
because they failed. And he's a crazy man. There's the chess pieces, though. Does that make you feel better?
That was the other thing. And us talking about it a little bit, because we talked about it last night while playing video games. A little bit. Mm-hmm. Lex Luthor was not painted as much. He was a dick. And he was egotistical, but that was expected. I almost feel like they painted him more as a good guy than anything in this. Like, he just was, I don't know, not a good guy, but like, he wasn't a villain. And in description from you, he feels like such a villain.
If I may. Lex Luthor calls Lois Lane and says, hold on. So she picks up, they didn't even show him picking up the phone. They're just on the phone. He says, "Don't interrupt, Lois. This conversation has only been calculated to last 38 seconds. Our marriage is about to begin an indefinite sabbatical effective immediately. This time will be spent devising a plan to humiliate and defeat Superman, just as he has humiliated and defeated me." And then, of course, she does not take that well.
Stupid.
But yeah, they call him a farm boy. So yeah, also grew up on a farm.
And yeah.
He meets someone that he used to grow up with. I know you talked about him growing up.
Makushla. That's the name I'm going to go with, because that's
I
the
got
name
Lana.
from Baby Millionaire.
Lana Lazarenko.
Was that what the name of Baby Millionaire? Millionaire Baby? Boxing movie.
What was that movie?
Her name was Makushla. Makushla. $1 Million Baby.
Yes.
I was like, it's not any of those things you're saying.
Well, I mean, you weren't super helpful just then.
You weren't, Stephanie.
I was thinking about it. That's like a Elizabeth.
If only you had a device that could assist you in these things.
So basically what happens is he sees her in a line for just a point of poverty, like they're waiting for like pieces of bread. And he's like, something needs to change. And that's when he decides, I'm going to just take over the planet. Or the country. I'll take care of it, don't worry about it.
Did Brainiac not come to Earth? Because I just saw a scene where he just flew out and found Brainiac.
Brainiac. So this is how quickly we take care of Brainiac. Lex Luthor's like, "Hey Brainiac, why don't you go shrink the city down?" And then Superman is flying. You don't see that conversation. Superman's just flying back with the city, and he's like, "Hey, I took care of that Brainiac thing. I need you to fix this planet or this city." And he's like, "I can't. It's stuck like that. You just have to deal with it." But then he gets Brainiac to like work for him, like he's controlling his brain.
That happens. He turns him into a Roomba. Essentially.
Yeah.
It's like this little robot that just kind of scoots around really pathetically. Yeah.
Well, let me see. So
There's big old Batman.
I've already gotten into Batman and how he's really messing stuff up. I'm trying to find.
I enjoyed that he was a terrorist. Essentially.
Yeah.
To an extent.
He was. Yeah. I mean, on that country's point of view.
Right. He might have been on the
terrorist.
side that we believe is a good side, but he still was a terrorist in that state.
He just didn't believe in one man controlling everything like he was. Why can't I find Brainiac?
Britain.
There he is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. They turned him into like a Roomba. It's good.
I like Roomba. Brainiac. That's
I'll
how
show you.
That's how you really take down a superior being that thinks they know all. is you make them vacuum the floor.
This is what it felt like the whole time I saw him.
So Batman. Batman's a terrorist.
I like that he has goons. Did he have goons in yours? Like
It was just a one man job.
oh yeah, no, there was like goons that would help him plant the bombs and stuff. It was good.
I also have a whole page dedicated to Wonder Woman really wanting to be with Superman, and he just doesn't care. And it's not like he doesn't care for her, because he does care for her. He just is like, whatever. I don't really need women distracting me from what I have going on.
Yeah, Batman's terrorist.
Yeah. How does he get handled in yours?
Lots of red lights that were donated to him by Lex Luthor.
Red lights.
Okay.
Red lights.
Then
How does he get a meeting with Superman?
by doing some BDSM with Wonder Woman.
He does tie up Wonder Woman with the lasso of truth.
Okay. Does Wonder Woman save Superman?
No.
So Wonder Woman breaks free of her.
Oh, she does break free. My apologies.
And then by doing that, she then grabs like the generator for the lamps and breaks it. And then Superman comes out, looks at Batman, and then just obliterates him with laser eyes. He really likes his laser eyes.
Interesting. So Wonder Woman breaks out. And Batman's wrecking shop on Superman's face.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When that was one of the parts that I had to kind of explain to my daughter was why Batman was just whooping the crap out of him, because when the red lights were on, he was just going to town.
What made Wonder Woman break out? Because here, it's almost like Superman kind of manipulates her a little bit.
No, he's in the little, like a dungeon. He's been locked into a dungeon, essentially. Like these double door bunker. And then she's on the outside and she just looks at Batman and then just breaks apart her thing. And then that makes her turn old. Because she sacrificed her soul or something. Or her soul is bonded through her lasso and then thus that. Life force, something like that.
Yeah, as your oldest and dearest friend, I'm begging you, do whatever it takes.
Yeah, no, he didn't say he didn't talk to her at all.
He's going to destroy everything we've worked for, yada yada. So my Batman goes down fighting. So they break it, and he's like, "No more tricks, Batman. No more sonar lasers." And then he says, "Now tell me who set you up." He goes, "Come now, Superman," because he talks all Russian. And he's like, "Surely you know I'd rather, I don't know what that word is. Martyr?
Martyr.
I don't know if I've ever seen that word spelled out. Basically, Batman puts a bomb in his chest and says goodbye. And blows
You're right.
himself
Nope, I do remember that. Never mind. That is what happened. I apologize.
You made up a whole movie.
No, you're right.
Not everybody has died by laser eyes.
No, you're right. Yeah, no, because he's like, I can't see through something with his. Oh, he's like, I can see your brain is not that big, so you shouldn't be that impressed with it with his X-ray vision. And then Batman's like, oh yeah, do you see this? And then there's just a bomb in his ribcage. Yep, no, but that was a part.
More or less.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to misremember that.
Oh, he does. He does say, oh, and by the way, it was Piotr, Pyotr.
And Piotr.
Yeah, who betrayed you. And click. So, and then Wonder Woman got all old immediately. You also got the Ring Lantern Corps.
Yep. Real small scene with them, and I was kind of sad. I felt like that could have been more, but Superman made real quick work of them.
It was interesting because it was almost like a Joker situation. The Batman's death kind of caused other people to also kind of Batman-ish a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, was the Lantern Corps from Russia?
No.
Okay.
They also started putting these little mind controlling things.
Only
on
saw
people.
one of those one time. Like one on one person multiple times, but it was the same person.
Who was it?
I don't remember his name. It was some scientist that was working with him.
Yeah, no, it was the guy that betrayed Superman that got it.
Oh, that very well could have been his name.
There's more chess.
They really like the chess, man. But Superman never played chess with Lex, so I don't understand that part of it.
Yeah, so basically, Superman not necessarily bullying other countries, but starts leaning on them like, hey, you should just join my Soviet Union. And they're like, I mean, yeah, because basically he's like, join me and all your troubles go away. No more random death, no more, because he's Superman. He's flying all over the place, he's taking care of everybody.
Yeah.
And, I mean, when you're suffering, it's really difficult to turn that away. So he basically uses that as a way to kind of get what he wants. What else you got? What are the big scenes you got? What else do you want to talk about? What else makes you feel good?
No.
What else makes you
We're almost to
saucy?
the end now.
Yep.
Lex Luthor and him. So the Green Lantern Corps fights him. There's like 9 of them, 10 of them.
Oh,
And it
yeah.
was-
I have
yeah, I saw that.
an army
Yeah.
of Green
Yeah,
Lanterns.
no, it was like 9 or 10 of them. It felt like,
And
were
they
flying
figure
in
out
V
the
formation.
brightest day speech through Lex Luthor science, which is weird.
Didn't even go over that.
Yeah.
We just straight said, hey, we found this on an alien. We want you to be a part of this, and then put it on his ring, and then all of a sudden there were lots of them. They did the box thing, and then he broke out of it. He then made real short work of them. I will say that yes,
Wonder
Woman
Woman finally turns on
interferes.
him. Yeah.
Wonder Woman interferes and stops him.
He Legs Rider.
Yeah, he loves the laser eyes, man.
It basically becomes a point where it looks like they hired the superheroes to fight on America's side. It's basically like, let's just throw everything we got at this guy, and hopefully something takes him down.
Yeah. Then Lex Luthor and him start fighting, and Brainiac then shows up and says, "I was playing you all along."
That
Wah-ha-ha-ha-ha.
Roomba.
And then
So he's not a Roomba.
he's not a Roomba.
I've been playing you this whole time.
And then Lex Luthor and Superman turn to fight him, and the only way that they're able to get through, because then Brainiac's like, "You'll never get through my shield because I've improved it while I was sitting here this whole time." And Lex Luthor somehow comes out with Ex Machina tech that he basically puts on the wall, and then suddenly opens a little bit of the shield, and Superman proceeds to beat the shit out of Brainiac. And then the ship is going to self detonate.
Funneling chess pieces.
Told you, bro. This man loves his chess pieces.
Funneling them.
It's a real Magneto situation. Ship is going to detonate, so he then flies it into space. Big kaboom! Flash into the future. Lex Luthor is president. Then he's stepping down from president. Oh no, he was already president. He's stepping down from presidency and naming the other guy, Jimmy Olsen, as president. And Lois Lane looks out in the crowd, sees Superman out there, and is like, "Oh my God, Superman, bone me!" And then move on.
In the movie. Okay. So, and mine, Brainiac tries to betray him. Lex Luthor's in on it. Lex Luthor is the one that sets Brainiac's ship to self-detonate. Superman has to fly it away to save the whole world. Goes kablooey. And Lex Luthor feels like he won. He becomes the president. The Soviet Union breaks down. He lives a nice old life. And see a Superman once everybody's super duper 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 old. Basically, what happens at that point is it looks like the sun's red now. The world's going apeshit. Nothing's working out. So, Lex Luthor's great grandson, or something along that line. His name is
Nathaniel.
no.
It felt like a name.
Bill.
Jor-El.
Okay.
Him and his wife say, we're going to give our son a better life, put him on a ship, send him back in time. The planet blows up, and then it goes back to the Ukraine, the year 1938, and the ship lands, and the story starts over again. So the baby in the ship is who ends up being Superman in the long run, because they're like, oh, the sun will be yellow to make him so much stronger because they've been living in the red sun that has made them slightly weaker. And it loops back over to the beginning of the story where Superman gets there and all this shit goes down, and then we get to the end and they send him away. It's a forever loop.
Mine didn't do that.
I understand why. It was real confusing when I read it at the end. Forever loop.
Well, that's what happens when you mess with time.
Did you feel like it was a good story?
Before the forever loop, I did. I was okay with Superman being like, power got to me.
It's an
The world-
injustice situation.
The world's better off just dealing with itself. I shouldn't be here. And it just, that being the end of it. But to loop it back around to where they're going to live that for eternity. That hell will forever be what it is and what it was. It's like, okay, I guess. Maybe if he'd have thrown him back in time and then he landed in America and the regular story would have picked up, that would have been a bit more interesting to me, maybe. Or maybe we do it where he lands in a different country and then a whole nother thing happens. You know what I mean? But I'm not a fan of the whole chicken egg thing, like with the story. I'm okay with that question.
Being a Batman fan, were you a fan of this Batman?
I was, even though it was just a guy who kind of dressed like a bat. But I guess Batman's just a guy who dressed like a
He
bat.
is.
Yeah.
But
This one's not rich, but he was still good at things.
yeah, he was. But there's the in-depth story of the well training and all that stuff. This was just a guy who was just figuring out. He kind of seemed as he went. Well planned guy. I thought he was interesting. He's just Batman with a hat on because it's cold.
But he had a good accent.
I mean, you got that. I didn't get that. I had to make my own up.
Yeah. His accent was just Cleve's accent in its own head.
Let me ask you this. What did you think about the Superman costume? I really, really like it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I think it's a cool... Because there's so many costumes that are just slightly different. This was... The fact that you changed the symbol changes...
I appreciated also the palette. Like, I know I'm colorblind, but like the palette change felt like it made sense. It was a much more neutral color, and it was much more like a governmental. Like, I could see, like, it just felt more like
Yeah, I felt...
More uniformy.
Yeah.
I felt it
like a
was...
military uniform.
I felt it was interesting because the Superman symbol is like, okay, if depending on what story you want to go, it's like his family symbol or it just represents Superman, whatever. But in this one, it's like, it's my country right here. This is all that matters. It's not about me. It's about the people. I do enjoy that at the core, it was still Superman and who he was. I just want everybody to be okay. I want no chaos in the world for anybody. It wasn't like he was corrupted from being Russian. He eventually gets a little corrupted because of the power of controlling most of the world. And mine, he gets to the point where he controls everyone but America.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think it's worth a read.
Yeah, it was really good. It was worth the watch.
I don't know if you know, Superman at a certain point renounces his citizenship as an American.
Makes sense.
Because it's like, oh, you know, well, he only is
Right.
concerned with America. And he's like, all right, fine, I'm not American anymore. Problem solved. I don't care about this one land. I care about the planet.
Do you think during the coronavirus we'd have to send him somewhere else?
I like to think that it wouldn't even affect him, right?
No, I know.
he
But
probably
like,
can't
at this
carry
point,
it.
we're travel banning. We're sending everybody back. So, you know.
But where do we send him back to? He has no planet.
Get off this earth! Hiya!
And when he lands here, we don't have him figured out time travel.
Well, doesn't Russia have like no or like very few cases of it because they closed down their borders pretty quickly?
That sounds like Russia. Look at all these countries doing everything better about it than we are.
So, for those of you that are listening, if you guys have watched or read or done both, let us know what you preferred.
I'd be curious to hear about the people who've done both. I'll also be curious about the people who read it. I'd also be curious about the people who watched it.
I'm really just curious.
I'd be curious if this is your first encounter of it. I would be curious if you are the biggest fan in the world. I would want you to hit us up on our email. It's friendship.supreme@gmail.com. We also have an Instagram, a Facebook, and a Twitter that you can reach out to. They are all Friendship Supreme, except for the word friendship in Twitter. It has no I's because ideally your eyes will be looking at us on our YouTube channel as youtube.com, and then just search Friendship Supreme because we're always there for you.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
Yep. Sign up for our Patreon, patreon.com/Friendship Supreme. And then, if you have time, sign up for a $1 subscription. And you can also sign up for a $5 or $150. Michael likes to promise lunch at that point.
Starting at $5, you guys get exclusive content that is up there right now. If you're interested in finding out more about us or, learning about who the best Joker is.
Does Stephanie post that?
Yeah.
Good job.
It's all there.
Steph. Good job.
It's all there, ready to go. I've been Michael.
This is Cleve.
Stephanie's here.
Stephanie was in the room.
I exist. I didn't see anything.
Well, you know what? I know we signed off and everything, but just final thoughts. Do you have any questions about any of it? Anything that sounded interesting? Anything curious? Any thought out of your brain that has no concept of this whatsoever?
Well, I thought it was funny. Derek and I were at the game store, and we saw that
Soviet Batman.
And he was like, there was and he started explaining to me that there was a different universe there's a universe where Batman and Superman, not Spider-Man, were from Russia. I thought it was odd timing. He literally was just telling me about this.
Yep, and here we are.
Yeah.
What you're saying to us is that we should be having Derek here instead.
That was Stephanie's final
Apparently,
thoughts.
he knows more about this.
Oh, probably because I read this once. I didn't read over it again. It was good, but I'll put it on a bookshelf at this
I don't know. If anybody's out there that likes Superman, I feel bad for you guys because he's just the worst superhero.
He is cheating.
This is proof. One superhero lands on the planet in a different planet and it just changes everything.
Well,
Proof.
because he's good at everything.
You can just suddenly be like, I landed in Russia and now Russia won.
He has one weakness, and we made that up so a man could take a vacation.
But yeah, Stephanie was back there.
Checkmate, Superman. You have to post this soon so it's not super out of date about coronavirus. That's me hoping that this will be over in a couple months.